Hello, you. It is I, Ultramarine. I feel so awkward because it's been a minute since I last filmed a video, but I realized the longer I wait, the harder it's gonna be. So I wanted to share the books that I read last month because it was the first time really that I've read all year. I was just in a major reading slump since even really like the end of last year. But I read a lot actually, like kind of an unrealistic amount of books. But I just realized I had not read in a really long time. So I'm going to include this first book because I put it on my Goodreads. It's kind of ridiculous. It's the puppy primer because I got a puppy a couple months ago. I guess over 2 months ago now. So it's just a very standard, dog training book. Kind of walks you through like the first 6 weeks or so what you should do just for basic training. It smells nice. So that was that. Okay, the next book. This is a big deal. Big, huge deal. Don Quixote. I first mentioned this book in November. And anytime I talked about books, I would mention how I was still reading Don Quixote. This was a tome to get through. I did enjoy it. I thought it was funnier than I thought it would be. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was genuinely really amusing in some parts. And then there were other parts that didn't quite click as well. But, considering this was written in the 16th century, it felt really modern. Like, it didn't feel very archaic to read, which I guess that's what I was expecting. But that's not the case at all. So yes, I read Don Quixote by Cervantes, and you can see a little section where my puppy got into it. The next book, I read The Body Keeps Score by Bessel van der Kolk. I actually started this book in, I want to say February or March. I can't remember. But I had started this book and then I kind of took a break around the time that I got my puppy. I feel like one of those people, that drive nice cars. They never say my car, they'll say like my Lexus. That's how I feel by saying my puppy. But yeah, whenever I got him, I just, my God, did not, totally fell out of reading. I had kind of started to pick up a little bit around the beginning of March, I want to say. And then it just did no reading for a very long time, from around the time that I got him up until I think around the first week of May is when I finally finished these 2 books, Don Quixote and finished this one. And then that's what really sort of kickstarted my my love for reading again. It was very invigorating to finish, especially to finish Don Quixote, because that was getting to the point where it was haunting me. So those books I did not start and finish in May. Those are just the books that I finished reading in May. And so now we'll get into the books that I fully read in May. Most of them are my books from Book of the Month. I don't think I'm going to be doing it again because I'm just running out of space, honestly. They're so big because they're hardcovers. They're just, I mean, compared to the size of my forearm, that's how big it is. But yes, so the next book is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. So I didn't enjoy the book as much as I hoped I would, based on whatever expectations I had made from the synopsis. I also realized I haven't talked about what these books were about. Let me start telling you a little bit more about the books rather than just reading you the titles. It's about a bank robbery gone wrong, and these people are taken hostage, and it just kind of examines, I don't know, the way that we're all kind of fucked up, I guess. The idea of it sounded really intriguing, and it was a cute story, but some of the writing, particularly like the dialogue, I don't know, it just didn't jive with me, so it kind of made it hard to really get into the story. But I mean, overall, I did enjoy the story. I thought it was cute. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say other than that. The next book is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. This one was also a bit underwhelming based on what I guess I had hoped. So this one is based on the myth of Ariadne. So if you're not familiar, she is the sister of the Minotaur, which was the half human, like half man, half bull, I guess. It's like a bull type figure or creature who lives in the labyrinth of, is it Minos? I think that would make sense, Minotaur. Yes, and she helps Theseus, who is the Prince of Athens, escape. And that was really all I knew about Ariadne. I didn't know the rest of her mythology, so this kind of taught me that, because it goes, further into it. But I was excited to read it because I really do like mythology, and I love stories that are, I really like historical fiction. Obviously this is not historical fiction, but mythology or books based on mythology give me a similar feeling to that. So I had high hopes, but I don't know, it just didn't, I didn't dislike it or anything, but it just, I don't know, it didn't really click with me. This is a terrible book video. I'm just saying I don't know to everything, but anyway, so I read those two books, and then I was kind of fed up that my book of the month books, I had a backlog. I was fed up that those were not doing so well, so then I took a break and just started reading from books that I had bought and been meaning to read. So then I read the new Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. This examines how the judicial system is kind of set up as, like the title says, the new Jim Crow. So it explores how, what that means and how that looks. When you read this, you see the way that the judicial system really seems to target Black people, basically, and how it's very covert, because there's nothing in the language in laws or policies that specifically target Black people the way that, Jim Crow laws did. But that's the purpose, really. It goes into it very well. I gave a very poor explanation of it. But yeah, I thought this book was, it feels weird to say it was so good, because the subject matter is really depressing, to put it frankly. You read some of the stories and you honestly just think, what the fuck? It was just kind of overwhelming. But I definitely recommend, this is a book I would recommend reading, but it was really well written. I thought she did a really good job explaining what she meant and giving examples. So I appreciated reading it. The next book it's also nonfiction. It's Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender by David R. Hawkins. I was really intrigued by this. I'll read you the synopsis. So, letting go describes a simple and effective means by which to let go of the obstacles to enlightenment and become free of negativity. During the many decades of the author's clinical psychiatric practice, the primary aim was to seek the most effective ways to relieve human suffering in all of its many forms. The inner mechanism of surrender was found to be of great practical benefit and is described in this book. And it gives some more detail than that, but yeah, based on that, that's, it's the idea of how to let go and how that's going to be life-changing, and it goes through, so it explains in the beginning different, I guess, like vibrational states and their frequencies, and like what that looks like. There was a chart or an appendix, the map of consciousness. Yes. Okay, so it gives like the level, which is, I guess, the emotional state, that the highest emotional state you can achieve, and it gives like a numerical rating to it, and it kind of shows like if you're descending, like what's going to keep you in a low vibrational state. I don't know if it uses this exact verbiage, and then kind of where you can start to ascend from that and experience more, I guess, positive side effects, or let go of some negative side effects that being in the lesser states will bring. And I'll just go through them because of the beginning is just going through each level and what that looks like. So it starts with shame, then goes up. So shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, courage, and then that's where it starts to go over that's where it sort of breaks the ground of like what will bring in positivity, or what will bring in positivity. So courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, enlightenment, the ultimate end game. So I was really intrigued by it, but I have to say, I read it, and some of it was a good reminder on just the power of acceptance and the idea of surrender. I do like those ideas. I think that is something I try to practice. I think it's important to be mindful and to be present, and I'm terrible at that. And I think it makes a big difference to be able to just have acceptance for wherever you are, and the importance and the idea of being able to surrender, especially when you're going through a really tough time. But I don't know what I was looking for, but I don't feel like I really found anything in the book, and a lot of it felt a little too woo-woo even for me. I don't know, like he's basically saying you can heal yourself by being able to surrender and progress through the different emotional states, or whatever he called them, and was kind of saying, if you're in this state of shame or anger or guilt or whatever, negative mind frame, that leads to a lot of somatic illnesses, which I think there is some correlation there, or some basis for that, but it just, I wouldn't accept that 100%. I don't think that's necessarily true across the board. I don't think if you have a serious illness, you need to just surrender and you'll be cured, which kind of is the vibe I was getting from the book. So that was a little off-putting to me, and I don't know, I just didn't completely buy into it, so that was a little disappointing. I was hoping to get more from it, but at least it looks nice. I do like the cover of it. It's very straightforward. I like this color yellow. And then I went back and just completed the rest of my book of the month backlog. So I went back into, I started with Memorial by Brian Washington. I really was looking forward to this one, and I'll read you the synopsis. Benson and Mike are two young guys who live together in Houston. Mike is a Japanese-American chef at a Mexican restaurant, and Benson's a black daycare teacher, and they've been together for a few years. Good years, but now they're not sure why they're still a couple. There's the sex, sure, and the meals Mike cooks for Benson, and, well, they love each other. But when Mike finds out his estranged father is dying in Osaka just as his acerbic mother, Mitsuko, arrives in Texas for a visit, Mike picks up and flies across the world to say goodbye. In Japan, he undergoes an extraordinary transformation, discovering the truth about his family and his past. Back home, Mitsuko and Benson are stuck living together as unconventional roommates, an absurd domestic situation that leads Benson to a deeper understanding of family and himself. Benson begins to push outward, realizing he might just know what he wants out of life and have the goods to get it. Both men will change in ways that will either make them stronger together or fracture everything they've ever known, and just maybe they'll all be okay in the end. Memorial is a funny and profound story about big first loves, family in all its forms, becoming who you're supposed to be, and the limits of love. That sounds so good, right? Not to say the book was bad. It wasn't bad. It just didn't go where I thought it would. I don't know. I liked the first half a lot more than I liked the second half, basically. So I don't know. I kind of lost steam with the book halfway through, and the ending was, I don't know. It just didn't live up to the expectations that I had. So, the next one, though, I really enjoyed, is a collection of short stories, and it ends with a novella. It's The Office of Historical Corrections, which is the title of the novella by Daniel Evans. This was great. I really enjoyed reading her stories. I really liked the novella. So a lot of them sort of featured around race. Not all of them, but in a variety of ways. So you got some different perspectives. I really was intrigued by, I think it was Boys Go to Jupiter, which was the story of a white girl, who ends up in a Confederate flag bikini, and the picture kind of goes viral, and it's not because she is racist, but she just ends up in that situation, but her reaction to it is interesting. She kind of doubles down on it, so that was interesting to read, and this was a really fast read. It's pretty short, so, and also I just feel like short stories it's much easier to get through a collection of short stories, so this was a good one. If you like short stories, definitely recommend it, or even if you don't really read too many short stories, I think this would be a good collection to get into. Next one I also really loved, so I had a good kind of streak here going. I read The Removed by Brandon Hobson. This one was very eerie, very atmospheric. I really enjoyed it a lot, and I thought the pacing of it was really nice. I just thought the story itself was very interesting, so I really liked it, and I had hoped I would like it. Like I had a good feeling about it, based on the synopsis. Obviously, that's not always going to pan out, but I'll go ahead and I'll read this one to you because I liked it so much. In the 15 years since their son Ray Ray was killed in a police shooting, the Akota family has been suspended in private grief. The mother, Maria, increasingly struggles to manage the onset of Alzheimer's, and her husband, Ernest. Their adult daughter, Sonia, leads a life of solitude, punctuated only by spells of dizzying romantic obsession, and the remaining son, Edgar, fled home long ago, turning to drugs to mute his feelings of alienation. With the family's annual bonfire approaching, an occasion marking both the Cherokee national holiday and Ray Ray's death, and a rare moment in which they openly talk about his memory, Maria attempts to call the family together from their physical and emotional distance once more, but as the bonfire draws near, each of them feels a strong blurring of the boundary between normal life and the spirit world. Maria and Ernest take in a foster child who seems almost miraculously to keep Ernest's mental fog at bay. Sonia becomes dangerously fixated on a man named Vin, despite, or perhaps because of, his ties to tragedy in her lifetime and to lifetimes before. And in the wake of a suicide attempt, Edgar finds himself in the mysterious darkening land, a place between the living and the dead, where old atrocities echo. Drawing deeply on Cherokee folklore, The Removed seamlessly blends the real and the spiritual to excavate the deep reverberations of trauma, a meditation on family, grief, home, and the power of stories on both a personal and ancestral level. There you go. It's, I feel like it delivered exactly what it said it would. I liked it a lot. Loved it, in fact. Probably one of my favorite books that I've read this year. So I highly recommend checking out this one, The Removed. Alright, I just have a few more left. So the next one I read, Infinite Country by Patricia Engel. I really liked the cover too. It's a very nice design, I think. And this is a very thin book. It was 191 pages, so this was a pretty quick read. It's very interesting. It follows the story of a girl who is in, I think it's Colombia. Colombia. And she's technically an American citizen, but she's in Colombia. She was raised in Colombia. And she has to make her way back to her flight. She is scheduled to go home to reunite with her mother. And it just kind of follows her as she's trying to get to where she needs to be in order to make her flight. And it's interspersed with flashbacks of her parents when they met, and kind of their journey of how they came from Colombia to the US, and then what happens after that. Was this in the synopsis? Yes, okay. I didn't want to spoil anything, but it's in the synopsis, because they get separated. The father ends up actually getting deported, and then you kind of see how the girl, I forget her name, Talia, you see how Talia ends up back in Colombia, and then how life panned out for her mother and her siblings, and then, does she make it on time, and what's going to happen in the family. So I liked it. I thought it was just a really good look into, what life is like for people who are undocumented, and just kind of exploring those themes of immigration, but Also themes of family. So I thought it was good, and like I said, it was a really quick read. And I was kind of surprised. I mean, I really feel like it could have gone into more detail. It could have been longer, but it didn't feel like anything was missing. This is the next book in a book club, Far Away by Tiff Marcello, Marcello, I don't know. Wow, I knew I was taking a risk with this book, and it's not like I didn't like it. It's a very easy read, but you know, it wasn't that great. It's very kind of superficial, I guess, is what I would describe it as. I'll just tell you, it's about 3 women who are their friendship is based off of a book club that they were in, but then the friendship group gets split, and so it starts off with this drama of what happened, because they're reunited to help out one of the friends, and it explores those themes of friendship and forgiveness, I guess, redemption, all themes that I am interested in, so it seemed like it could be good. Didn't quite deliver the way that I had maybe hoped, but I think I kind of had a feeling it was that was a chance. And I've kind of, my take with the book of the month books is sometimes I will just go for one that I'm not sure of, that I think could be really good, but I also know I might not pick up. If I were in a bookstore, I probably wouldn't have bought this book, but I experiment a little bit more with the book of the month, and sometimes it pays off, and sometimes, kind of a lot of times, it feels like it doesn't. So yes, I just have a few more. So this is actually the last book of the month book that I read, and it is What Comes After by Joanna Tompkins, and I was very eager to read this one. I thought I would really enjoy it. I was really intrigued, and it worked. I really think that it was good. I liked it. I'll read you the synopsis for this one. After the shocking deaths of 2 teenage boys tear apart a community in the Pacific Northwest, an unfamiliar pregnant girl emerges out of the woods and into the lives of those same boys' families. Why the boys died and what their tragedy has to do with this girl are the propulsive mysteries at the center of Joanne Tompkins' story. But just as urgent is the question of how the families will move forward. What comes after grief? What does forgiveness look like? In misty coastal Washington, Isaac's teenage son Daniel is gone, leaving Isaac alone in a rambling Victorian home, shocked and grieving. The friendships and faith that once nourished him are flickering. Next door, Lori, a working single mother, struggles with the final act committed by her own teenage son. The 2 parents are separated by only a silvery stretch of trees, but emotionally they are stranded, isolated by their great losses, until they meet Evangeline, fiery and heron in spirit, 16, pregnant, and alone. Evangeline's unexplained arrival changes everything. At first it feels like a blessing and a bridge across a divide, but the girl clearly is hiding something about her connection to the boys and their deaths. Soon, all 3 characters are forced to examine what really happened in their overlapping pasts and what it all possibly means for a shared future. With a suspenseful mystery at its core, What Comes After is an unforgettable story of loss and anger, but also of kindness and hope, courage and forgiveness. It is a deeply moving account of strangers and friends helping one another after tragedy as they learn how their losses can unite them all. thought it did a really good job just of the story. I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed the kind of perspective changes. It is told, it's kind of split between first person from Isaac, who was Daniel's father, and let me make sure I got that right. Yeah. And then third person with Evangeline, focusing on her. But it was good. It was good. Oh, and then there were bits and pieces of one of the sons and kind of his point of view, and it just, I don't know, it worked. I liked it. I did enjoy this one a lot. So if that sounded interesting, I would recommend giving this a shot, and hopefully you would like it as well. And I also just really liked the cover of it. So mysterious. Alright, I just have a couple more. So, after I finished my book of the month, my backlog, I went back to books that I've bought, that I've been really wanting to read. So I've been wanting to read this for a while, so I didn't want to wait any longer, and it is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. It I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it. It's just such an interesting story, and the vibe of it, I can't explain. It's kind of dreamy, almost. I'm trying to think of what it reminded me of. It almost reminded me of the sort of vibe, the sort of dreamlike vibe I got when reading Never Let Me Go, except that I found Never Let Me Go to be almost boring. I did not think that. I didn't think this was boring at all, but it had this quality to it that is, I don't know, I'm trying to articulate it and I can't. It's good though, it's good. I'll read you the synopsis for this. On an unnamed island, objects are disappearing. First hats, then ribbons, birds, roses. Most of the inhabitants are oblivious to these changes, while those few able to recall the lost objects live in fear of the draconian memory police, who are committed to ensuring that what has disappeared remains forgotten. When a young writer discovers that her editor is in danger, she concocts a plan to hide him beneath her floorboards, and together they cling to her writing as the last way of preserving the past. Powerful and provocative, The Memory Police is a stunning novel about the trauma of loss. I had a thought as I was reading that it also reminded me, it had also a similar vibe to The Vegetarian by, I think it's Han Kang. I think that's their name, as a Korean author. I really think that's it. But if not, I'll correct myself. But yes, The Vegetarian, it had that same sort of, I guess it's surreal is the word I'm looking for. And then there's also a quality to the writing that I kind of attribute it to, like, as a cultural thing, since I definitely know that, I think it's a woman, her last name, Kang, I'm pretty sure her family name is Kang for The Vegetarian, and then obviously Yoko Ogawa is Japanese, so there's sort of a way of writing, I guess, like a sense of style or a sense of perspective, or I don't know, that it feels that way to me, and I like that vibe a lot. It's, clicks with me. But yes, so highly recommend this. I know this was really, like, I feel like I saw this everywhere last year, or I think this was translated into English in 2019, and so it's 2019, so I feel like everyone was reading this book or talking about this book. so I'm a little late to the game, but highly recommend. And then the last book that I read in May, Normal People by Sally Rooney. And I liked it. I did. Yeah, it was easy to read. It was, like a romantic novel. I heard a lot of hype about it, though, so I wouldn't say it was underwhelming, because I did enjoy it, but I would say it wasn't, I don't know, I guess I was expecting it to be like the most amazing book, one of my favorite books that I would have read this year, and I wouldn't say that, but it was good. Here, real quickly, I'll show you what I'm reading now, since we're talking about books. I did start these books towards the end of the month, but obviously it's June 4th right now, so I did not finish them in May. I haven't really read as much this week. I think I haven't read in like 2 or 3 days, and part of it, I'm sad to say, is because I'm not really loving the book that I'm currently reading, which is Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. You can see I'm about halfway through, almost, not quite halfway through. I had a feeling I wouldn't really love it, and so that's kind of why I was like, this sounds terrible to say, but I felt like I should just get it over with. That sounds really awful to say, because why would you read something you're not going to enjoy? I just wanted to see if I would. I don't know why. I read The Road a few years ago, and I liked it, but I didn't love it, and a lot of it was kind of the writing style. It just didn't jive with me, but I've heard so many good things about him, and I remember the reason why I read The Road was because someone had told me about how much they loved Cormac McCarthy and how he's such a great storyteller, and said that like Blood Meridian was their favorite book. So, I don't know what it is. It's just something about his writing style that kind of drags for me a bit. So, yeah. I'm not like hating it. I think I'm just, I don't know. I also think I'm getting a little burnt out, because I did read a lot of books in a short amount of time, and just had a lot of, I don't know, life getting in the way. Last book is exploring the world of lucid dreaming, which I had actually started to read this book. This is a very old book. I can't remember if I got this in high school. I want to say I got this in high school. And I think I read about, you can kind of see the spine. I really doubt I finished it. Yeah, I didn't finish it, but I think I probably got about halfway through. Because I was really into lucid dreaming, like end of high school, beginning of college. And I don't know, it kind of crossed my mind, and I thought, I want to, I don't know, try to work on that, because I never got to a point where I could make myself lucid dream. I would just randomly experience them, but I don't think I ever really seriously tried, and I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. How has life been for me? It's been, I don't want to say not great. I don't want to say anything negative, because I don't have anything to complain about. But it's been tough. Mental health has not been great. And it's something that, I don't know, has kind of been like it's been brewing, just kind of my situation, like where I am in life right now is not my favorite place to be. It's not the best season, not for any bad reason, it's just a lot. I don't want to bore you with the details, but yeah, so it's kind of been under the surface. I mean, like my whole life, let's be honest, but especially the last, God, over a year and a half, like a very long time. And it definitely just got to a point where I had no motivation to do anything. Back in like around February, it kind of coincided. Not like it's not a coincidence. It definitely had something to do with Mac dying. That sucked. That really sucked. I can't talk about it or else I'll cry. But yeah, that really was just awful for me because it was like the one good thing in my life. That sounds so dramatic. It's just right now, just feeling kind of stuck. I'm in just a weird place, and I don't want to complain because I'm so lucky in my life in a lot of ways, with where, the opportunities that I have, and I don't want to complain, but I also don't want to ignore it or sweep how I'm feeling under the rug. And if I can't talk about how I'm feeling on my own goddamn YouTube channel, then where can I? But yeah, so it's just been, it's just like a lot. It's like life right now is work and school, and let me be real with you. Getting a puppy, I have to emphasize that it's a puppy and not a dog, because I should have gotten a dog. I should have gotten an adult, but I didn't. I after a few weeks, like I would say a couple weeks after Mac died, I was really fixated on getting another dog for companionship. And because I just, I love dogs. And I just had in my mind, this is the best time to get a puppy because I'm living with my family. That's also contributing to the feelings of, but I won't get into it. Anyway, I'm living with my family, so it's not like I'm living alone. So I have a lot of support there. And I work from home, and my school is online, so I'm just home all the time. So this is the perfect time. I have like a couple more years left in my program, so I can just raise this dog, and then when I'm ready to really start life, I'll have like an adult dog. So this is the perfect time to focus on raising a puppy. And oh my god, it was the worst decision I made this year. I can honestly say I regret it, and I wouldn't do it again. I don't want to sound so ungrateful, but holy shit, sometimes I hate him. My puppy. It's so crazy. I thought I read up on it. I really thought I was prepared to get a puppy, and it's one thing to mentally prepare yourself, but it's just a whole nother thing to experience it. I've never had a puppy before. I've only ever experienced having adult dogs. So I thought I knew, but no, I didn't. First puppy and last. Oh god. Oh well. He's really cute though. He's really cute, and he has his good moments. And honestly, part of the problem is not that he's so bad. He's a puppy. It's just the overwhelming anxiety that he causes me. God, as someone who is kind of more inclined to be anxious, getting a puppy, being responsible for a puppy is just the worst thing, because I'm constantly just worried about it, or feeling anxious about him, and about the future with him. And yeah, and then just puppy blues, no joke. I feel like I mean, I don't want to compare and say, I was gonna say I feel like I have postpartum depression with him. Obviously I don't, but getting a puppy, while also I still think maybe it was too soon, dealing with the aftermath of grief, it was not a good mix, and it definitely exacerbated some mental health stuff there. But I mean, I'm okay. I'll be okay. I'll be honest, I'm really struggling, and it's just taking a lot. Like, life is taking a lot to just do basic shit. And I'm having to put all my energy into being able to just, function, like being able to work and being able to do my school stuff and being able to take care of a puppy. And I mean, I don't even know, am I taking care of myself? Probably not as well. So that's the only thing too, and I think that contributes to it, is this sort of feeling of nothingness, like a sense of self-loss, because I don't have as much time for myself, and that takes a toll. So that's my life update, and that's a little depressing. If you've watched this far, thanks. I do appreciate it. But anyway, so I don't know how I'm going to be posting to this channel. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to be posting that regularly. Like, before I was honestly trying to do at least a couple times a week. I'm not going to do that. I would like to do at least once a month. Ideally, I'd like to do like once a week or maybe every other week, but I'm not making any promises. I don't know what you should expect. I don't know what I should expect. I'm just kind of pleased I'm doing this right now, and I'm like an hour into it, which is freaking me out because it's going to be a bitch to have to edit. I was really hoping not to make a long video. I'm sorry. I don't think this was honestly the most ASMR inducing video. I'm definitely out of touch. I'm rambling at this point. I can't say goodbye. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this and for putting up with me. I really do appreciate it so very much. I have a feeling some of you, if you heard my ramble about mental health, probably are experiencing something really similar, or had been, or have at some point. And I just want to say you are not alone in that, and I'm here with you right now, and I see you, and we're together in this moment, and I promise you, whatever you're feeling right now is not how you're going to feel for the rest of your life. And it might not even be how you feel tomorrow. It might, but it probably is not going to be how you feel a year from now. Let's hope. Anyway, you're not alone. That's all I wanted to say. And don't give up. Okay, this has been way too long. Please take care of yourself and take care of each other. And I will see you in the next one, whenever that is.